There's always late checkout where he stays. He's in 6-star hotels.
This episode of Getting Table is brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. Use code TABLE to get 5% off any order over $100, one use only. Thank you to our tablers for choosing to support us. Please consider joining for $2 a month to listen to us live and get early access to all video content from the YouTube channel.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts, Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yang,
I hope you are all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to Getting Tabled on the Midnight Hour with your host, Jason the Bruce.
Hello, folks. Apparently we're all docile and calm today. This must mean that our next gentleman is going to be very aggressive and loud and is not going to let us talk at all. It's Civilian Socks. I'll upgrade you a little bit.
A little?
Yep. Well, you were less than
So.
You were less than scum of the earth last time, so I think you deserve to be upgraded a little.
No, last time he was volunteer socks.
Exactly. So he's now a citizen. He's been upgraded.
Citizen's not much more than volunteer.
It's better. It's better. You're supposed to, just because you didn't say thank you, I'm going to demote you again.
Oh, thanks, Bruce.
You're supposed to be grateful.
It's better than conscript socks.
That's true. And we got George.
Who?
Hi.
I don't know.
Also, that was my attempt to try to do like a smooth jazz. We're here to just relax and be chill. But that ain't gonna happen because this is Getting Tabled. We're gonna talk about some news in the gaming world.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
And we're talking about release of the year. Absolute release of the year. It's an entire army in a box. It's Santa Claus and some mechanical reindeer. That's it. It's the full army. You don't need anything else. No, I'm obviously being facetious. This is for Armored Clash, so Socks is extremely excited for this. Like everything Armored Clash. It's just a local. It's an objective that's seasonal. And the thing I really like about this is that you can only buy it through your local stores. It's not something that you can buy through Wayland themselves, because obviously Wayland owns War Cradle. That shouldn't be news to anybody. I really like this.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah.
So it is missing one thing since they named it Kyle. Where's the white monster? Like the beverage. Kyle's drinking Monster.
Socks, do you get
not
this?
Know about Kyle?
No, I don't.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Kyle is the male Karen. He's a young, loudmouth jerk. He drinks Monster and talks a bunch of crap.
Okay.
What rock do you guys live under? Good Lord.
Isn't there 3 or 4 different versions of what the male Karen is? I know I've said this on the podcast before, but people that are actually called Karen, not Karens, but people that have the name Karen, I can't help but feel sorry for them at this point, because it's not their fault that they're associated with these horrible people.
I worked with a Karen, and it took 6 months before she caught on that, I hate my name now.
Yeah.
Super nice lady, though. Karen, you don't listen, but you are an awesome accountant. So,
yeah. I work with a Karen. One of the nurses at work is a Karen as well, and she's also very nice. But anyway, not every company. Most companies do something seasonal like this every year. A lot of them do it as in-store exclusives that they will sell so that they can encourage people to buy through their stuff. But War Cradle is actively trying to support the game stores that support them, which I really appreciate. Because not everybody does that, especially Black Friday is a huge thing everybody's going to talk about this time of year. We're not really covering Black Friday. I mean, there's one story that kind of dips into it a little bit, but it's not something we're really covering. The problem that I see in the industry when it comes to Black Friday is a lot of companies kind of try to take the sales away from the stores. Not deliberately, which, especially at this particular point in time, is not a good thing. Try to spend your money in stores, especially people in the US right now, because they're who really need it at the moment. Assuming that you have enough money left over to, buy anything hobby.
Yeah.
Paint one of their noses red like they have in the picture, because that is the law. I like that they've done one red and one green. That's kind of cute.
And
You know why?
Because red and green is
Aircraft
Christmas.
marker lights.
And
Aircraft marking lights.
And it's on the right side. Green is on the right side. Red is on the left side.
That's how you identify if an object is moving to you or away from you on the ocean or in the air at night when you don't have a visible confirmation of the object that's in there with you.
Massive props to whoever painted this. I'm going to assume that it was Stuart because I know he does a lot of it. It might actually say who it was. I don't think it does. But whoever it was that painted this, props for doing it properly. I actually have a Wild West Exodus mini painted by one of the studio painters. I won it in a competition at one point. It's
nice.
Treasured possession.
You won something?
I did win something. It's amazing. It never happens. I'm pretty
Once
sure.
in a lifetime, folks.
Yep.
Yeah, that was your one time. Like you.
Well, I didn't have to roll dice for it. That's why I won.
Oh, that's why.
That makes sense.
All right, moving on to a really well-priced item, I will say. Like, we've seen... I think George might have been away when we looked at this the first time, because this was teased a good couple of months ago now. But
was it in October?
I think it might have been September, honestly. I don't remember exactly, but we knew this was coming. We just didn't know when. But Inmate 213 is out in the Dreadhold, and the scum of the earth are trying to free him. This is an important storyline thing in the story at the moment. Storyline thing in the story. I really like the fleets that are in this box. They're really, really nice looking. And I kind of like the idea of there being like a dark side to the Resistance. Also, the UCM side of this is kind of really nice too. Like, the Dreadhold itself is gorgeous, which is... I mean, it even looks like it's a prison ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like no frills. Like, it's a boring monolith, which...
Yeah.
Have you looked at prisons?
Yeah, that's fair.
They look like financial institutions and colleges. I mean, what?
I also kind of like that the UCM have like this dark history that they're kind of not telling anybody about. It's kind of, it's a really, really nice change of pace for the story, where like not everything is about the war per se.
All it's doing is just validating that the Sheltari are the good guys of the galaxy, so...
No. The Scourge are the good guys. We've talked about this before.
No, it's PHR.
It's definitely not...
bring the sphere of influence to warn the humans.
The UCM propaganda is definitely the problem.
It's obviously the Sheltari, because if you don't agree with them, they wipe you out so that everyone is on the same page.
Yeah, well, to be fair, you could say that about every army.
Yes, but the Sheltari actually do it.
Look,
right,
canonically, good guys are only ever called Scourges, right? Right?
No.
No? Oh, okay,
No.
fine.
Looking at the zoomed in photo of the Resisti fleet,
yeah,
I'm loving that paint job.
I agree.
Like, you got the one where it's like it's the black, like mechanicals and the red armor plates, but you got the ones where it's like the black and red armor plates with the silver. Like, it looks very like they're trying to be cohesive, but they're not quite as cohesive as like the UCM looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really... I like that they've used different shades of red to try to it looks like it's been patched together. I'd like to see, like, none of us own the Resistance, but I'd love to see that kind of more in the Resistance fleets, where, like, because most people kind of paint their stuff so that it all looks like it belongs together, right? Either that or they go completely the other side of the screen and everything looks different. But I like this kind of like everything's themed, but it's not all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really nice box set, and like £70. It's reasonably well priced too.
That is 111 USD, just FYI.
Yeah, which isn't bad because the normal UCM Resistance starter set is 126. So
yeah. Moving on from TT Combat, we also have some new stuff coming from Archon. This is all largely Dungeons and Dragons based. Well, it's for their Dungeons and Lasers, which is their terrain sets. There's no reason why you couldn't use this for wargaming. It's just not what they're really aiming at. I really love the Minotaur in particular. I think this is gorgeous. Like, it has a themed base, but it's kind of like a themed base that you can do anything with. Also, you don't have to use the base, which I really appreciate. Like, there's no foot that's actually... Oh, actually, maybe the foot is on the base.
the hooves are on the base. If you look at the base, the hooves are actually on the base.
I realized as I was saying it. One of them's not, the other one is. So that will annoy George. But otherwise, I do really like
Unacceptable.
this. The bonus is that you could paint it to be a rock, or like they've kind of done this as ice. Like, you can kind of do whatever you want with it, really. We also have...
Oh, here's something. I was clicking on the page to like pull it up, and I selected where I'm from, and it says, "Hey, these prices don't incur current duties and import fees." So just FYI, folks.
Yeah, good point. I clicked on the when I loaded it. I selected the euro prices just because I figured it was the most neutral for all of us. On the next one, we have a Goblin King. These are very much Lord of the Rings style goblins, as opposed to your classic pointy-eared goblins. Very much like what you see in the Hobbit.
I was going to say
movie.
this is very reminiscent of what they did in the Hobbit movie with the Goblin King. I mean, it's not exactly, but it's very like, you know, they can.
It's big and it's bulbous, and yeah.
Say that word again.
Bulbous.
There you go.
What did you think I said?
No. I just wanted to hear you say bulbous. You gotta emphasize that first B. Bulbous.
Bulbous. We also have a Goblin Warband, which again is very much, it feels more The Hobbit than it does classic fantasy to me, at least. I like I don't want to say grimdark, but there's definitely something grim about it. Like, they just feel nasty. Goblins have a habit of kind of being very playful and funny a lot of the time in most miniature ranges. And these feel vicious, which I really appreciate.
Well, I mean, goblins are kind of the joke of like the orcs, so it's like, you know, they're gonna look kind of that being said, these look like they're about the right scale where, you know, as long as you're not playing a, you know, GW sanctioned tournament, I don't think you'd have any people complaining if you sub these guys in for goblins in Sigmar.
Honestly, no, I'd agree with you on that. Fairly decently priced box too. You get 16 in the box, it's £25, so that's what, about $40 for you guys?
34 without
34
duties and VAT, so
it'd be between 45 and 50 for us, probably more 50.
Which again, you know, for 16 minis, you know, like, you know, just, you know, your generic troop, that's a pretty reasonable price. So I'm not, I mean, when Games Workshop gets away with charging $60 for 5 TAC Marines, like,
oh yeah. Arachnophobic warning for the next two. Archnia.
Oh, she's pretty.
She is gorgeous, right? This is... No, I take back what I said earlier. This is my favorite. I mean, to me, this is Drider. Like, it's... To me, a Drider... I like the aesthetic of...
Driders were never women. Driders were only failed males.
Are they?
Yeah.
What's the term for the female ones then? Or is that just not in Warhammer?
That's the queen.
There
the
are
queen.
no female Driders.
Oh, okay.
The Driders are Drow elves who've been banished or been disgraced, and they are turned into Driders instead of allowed to remain as Drow. The women are never converted because they are the loyal priestesses of Loth, and she will either, if you're not in her favor, she will just kill them. She won't allow them to be used as servants.
There's a thing in classic fantasy of like it's a siren thing as well. Like you can only see the top half, and it's all this beautiful, alluring woman. And doing that with the spider aesthetic is even more effective. Like, because the spider is kind of like in the background, and all you see is this beautiful, alluring woman, and then you get close, and it's too late. It's a classic for a reason, right?
So I'm going to point this out too, not just the quality of this model, the paint job on this. This is a very, very good prime example of what dry brushing can do.
Yep.
As a very simple technique to just make your model look simply amazing. Like her what's the butt part of the spider called? The whatever. Like the dry brushing on those the abdomen. Yeah, close enough. I know all the geek stuff. I don't know actual random good facts that are functional. But that dry brushing to make those scales pop on her back, like that is just a really good example of what good dry brushing can do for a mini. Bruce is looking it up.
I am looking at. Oh, I was right. It's the abdomen. Yay!
See, I know what can and can't be a drider, but I don't know what the butt of a spider is called.
The one thing I will say about
fairly
this...
simple looking kit, too.
Actually, yeah, I will agree with you on that. The one thing I will say about this, it's not going to be to everybody's taste, because obviously this is leaning towards the sexy lady side of fantasy, and not everybody appreciates that. In the canonical of what this is supposed to be, it makes a lot of sense. But in saying that, if you wanted to paint this to say that like she was wearing skin-tight clothing or something, there's no reason why you couldn't.
Yeah.
All it would take is a bit of a darker line around the neckline, and then just paint the rest of it a different color. But in saying that, I would say that it's not... Like, it pushes in that direction, but I personally don't feel like it pushes too far. Like, some miniature lines definitely push too far.
Yeah. My counter argument to that is, if people have an issue with that, they better have an issue with like the Conan minis too.
Yeah.
Well, the large muscled abs and it's just as bad. So.
And last, I did say that the arachnophobe one for both of them. This is a little bit more simple. These are cave spiders.
Oh.
With goblin riders.
Yep.
I love the ones with the goblin riders.
I love little grub things too.
Oh, and there's a whole bunch of little spiders. This is a really good looking kit.
Yeah.
This
And
is
a couple
really
little nests.
Really nasty looking spiders too. Like, they just look horrible in the best way.
Well, to be fair, Bruce, name me a spider that isn't horrible. I mean, yes, I'm sure they exist, but usually
The
spiders
dancing
everyone knows
spider.
about.
The peacock spider.
Okay, fair.
I win.
Well, in my desert tundra, I had to be careful of our dog waste barrel because there was a black widow making her home in the bottom of that.
Awesome.
Talk about a crappy home. You got the joke there, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. I really like pretty much all of these, really. I don't think there's really a weak side to any of these releases. I mean, I would say that like the Goblin King is probably going to be something that you will either love or hate, because the big bulbous goblin that's clearly taking control advantage of everybody doesn't tend to be something everybody likes. A lot of people tend to prefer like your smaller goblins. I do really like that though. And like the whole like the sexy lady spider thing is again not going to be to everybody's taste, but I think it's a really strong release wave.
As you mentioned at the beginning, the Minotaur and the Goblin King, their feet are integrated into the base terrain, which I find just absolutely unacceptable. Like
they are designed for D&D. They are designed for D&D though.
But how dare you assume that what you've sculpted into the base with the feet is what the person that building it wants to do?
Yeah.
And I'm not joking about that. Like I feel very insulted sometimes. Like. Yes, on oh god, what's his name? The new Space Wolves champion that I got. Yes, he's got that huge rock base thing, but he's not part of it. And there's others. But like these feet are part of it. Like you can't get around that without completely cutting up the base if you're doing something different.
I don't always have a problem with it, and we've had this conversation before. But I will say, when the gold on the base is optional, but the base itself is not, it supports your argument pretty well. Like they've realized that well, he may not be defending a hoard of treasure. He may be coming to steal that treasure. But they haven't thought that well, maybe these. I mean, they're very clearly trying to theme these as cave goblins. Like, that's very clearly what they're going for with the spiders and everything. But who's to say that somebody doesn't want to put them in a forest somewhere?
I mean, the legs are obviously a separate part with, posts to go into it. Just add the feet onto the legs with the posts going into the base.
And I realize that there is an argument that you could make of, well, why don't you just cut them out? And like the whole point of like what Jez is saying is that you shouldn't have to. You should have the option, one way or the other.
I mean, great looking minis, but it really irritates me when they're like, "Oh, we'll just do this." Why? I've got a Fire Slayer Lord where his feet are part of the base, and it's not going to work with any of the basing that I want to do for that army. So I'm going to have to cut the feet out of the basing and rebase it so it fits my basing, because that's what you do with an army. I understand that these are slightly different, but for crying out loud.
Just
rant over.
This no. Well, I'm going to continue it, but I'm going to make it look like I'm fence sitting, even though I've largely just agreed with you essentially, because I think there's one thing that you haven't realized. And I kind of I hinted at this is for D&D, right? Scroll to the bottom of that page and click on the Goblin Lair. Because the thing that I don't think you realize...
Oh, hang on.
This is an accessory. It's an accessory for a terrain range, not... This isn't designed for Warhammer. It's an accessory for a terrain range. So that they have designed it specifically with their theme in mind, because the idea is that it's their customers buying it.
Sure. I get that.
It doesn't mean that you're wrong. I have largely agreed with you. I'm just pointing out the other side.
I get that.
Also, I love the fact that you can buy a pre-painted version of that, and it looks gorgeous.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Whether it looks as good in person is another question, but the artwork certainly looks amazing. You still have to build it, but... All right, anyway, let's move on.
Kings of War.
Actually, before we do, Socks, do you have a preference between any of these?
Probably the... Not the true Drider, but the female Drider.
Yep. The spider lady.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to go with all the little goblin henchmen minis.
Yeah. I'm with Socks. I think I already kind of said that, but it's just gorgeous. Also, I like the fact that they actually state the size. Oh, no, it's the box size. Never mind. I don't like that at all.
Box size.
All right, moving on to Kings of War. So we know that Kings of War is coming. Kings of War 4th edition. We've got a little bit of a preview of some of the stuff that's coming. So we've got some halfling Drakon riders that have like mechanical... Well, it's a half mechanical wing, half not mechanical wing. Clearly this is a dragon that's been injured in combat.
It's a prosthetic wing.
Yeah. Like they've done How to Train Your Dragon, essentially.
Yep.
And then there's a dragon in a wheelchair being led by a ham hock on a stick.
Yep.
Breathing fire.
A dragon that like, I would question if it's ever flown in its life.
Yes.
Too many ham hocks.
Probably. We also get some Trident Realm stuff. So these are the underwater guys that are invading the Trident King. So just some lovely little previews of what we have coming up. Which, honestly, I think they all look great. I don't know what my favorite is,
Can we
though.
click on that halfling battalion real quick? Because that little war pig tank thing is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially the fact that the two piloting it are dressed like halfling chefs and one has a spatula.
I think it might have been Socks and I that covered this the first time that we looked at it. This is a couple of years ago now. But I like the fact that these aren't like your cutesy little halflings. They actually look vicious. There was a period where like there's like 3 different companies that released halflings like within a few months of each other. And this was one of them. It was them, TT Combat, and somebody else that I'm forgetting. But no, the pig battalion, the pig tank thing is just, it's a highlight of that box.
Oh, he's got a frying pan too. I just noticed the frying pan. This is like the most amazing mini.
Who has a
because
frying
they're
pan?
trying to be serious. The pig tank, the chef in the back with the spatula. His other hand, he's got a frying pan.
Oh, he does too. Oh, that's
Today
great.
we rampage with second breakfast.
Yes.
I love the idea that like they're piloting the tank and the downside of the tank, which is all of the heat that they put off, is being put to use.
Yes. Making breakfast.
Eggs, sausages, bacon,
Yep.
Potatoes.
mushrooms.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
All right, George. I know you're really excited to talk about this next one.
Well, so
I have mixed feelings on this.
So I just noticed something about it, but I feel like this game and Hell, the Last Saga, have now become a running joke, and we, the backers, are a sad, pathetic, pitiful punchline. So, Anystyr, created by Mythic Games, raised a bunch of money, successful. Mythic went under, sold it to CMON.
Yep.
Yay! CMON sold it to Don't Panic Games.
Yep.
Don't panic. And here's why I just noticed too. This is not a crowdfunding. This is a pre-order. So, and there's a distinction on GameFound when they do that. So, if it is a crowdfunding, it is a campaign to blah 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 blah, like Kickstarter and everything. If it is a pre-order, it is an intellectual property that is just going in through a reprint. So go back to Rising Sun, is it the CMON game that got bought by whatever?
Yep.
They had Blood Rage, and they were doing the crowdfunding for the Blood Rage sequel, but then you could pre-order all this other stuff because it's already been developed. So this is telling me this is developed, it's ready to go. Which that coincides with CMON is running out of money, obviously, because they're trying to raise capital, they're selling things. So they actually finished their rework on this and sold it finished. So Don't Panic Games is just trying to get it pre-ordered to actually get some money because they just bought it to actually get the game produced.
Don't forget, it also means that they get a lot of attention on it as well.
That's correct. Now, if you scroll down a little bit, it does say, where is it at? They've got some planned releases. I don't know if that's from CMON or if that's something they're working on developing. But it says, why pre-order now? Access to attractive prices compared to retail, exclusive acrylic standees, blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the big one, though. Original backers benefit from preferential prices throughout the pre-order period. So that means if you are an original Mythic backer, you get preferential pricing over everyone else who's jumping on this pre-order. So
it's a little under half price on most of it too. You are still having to buy it again, though.
So yes, are you spending more money on top of what you've already spent? Yes. Are you getting a better price than everyone else? Also, yes. Again, and I will point this out, they have this on GameFound listed as a pre-order. Yeah. And CMON has had both sides of it. The new Cthulhu that just got sold to Asmodee was a campaign. The Dead Keep or Dread Keep or whatever, I got that as well. That was listed as a pre-order. There's another game that CMON was doing. That was listed as a pre-order, meaning that this is developed and they're just opening it on the campaign at a price to sell and generate some revenue. So, is this a good thing? I'm going to say yes. Is it the best solution that backers were wanting? Probably not. But I will also point out too, CMON, while they said Mythic backers will still get a copy, we'll just ask for the shipping. Like that was best case scenario. So the fact that this is now in a third set of hands, the fact that they're giving that good a price, I think is about the best as backer they're going to be able to get.
Yeah, I mean, I have mixed feelings about this. I mean, it's great that it's finally happening. I don't feel great about. It's now on a third pair of hands. Like that's already bad. People that have bought this game once, having to buy it again, discount or otherwise, is not great. In saying that, neither of the people that bought the game are
obligated.
No, they're not obligated at all, and that's something that will always be a miss. Like, I haven't heard a lot of people complaining about this. This is me raising these issues. I just can't pretend that I don't have these thoughts. In saying that, it's a fairly significant discount, as it should be, and it looks great. It has somebody attached to this project that I am just going to say I am not a fan of. Paolo Parente is attached to this. I have very, very strong opinions on that man, and none of them are positive because I was one of the backers of a Kickstarter that he was involved in. But in saying, like, it's just one of those things. Like, the game looks magnificent. Also, he's not the one running the company, so it's not from that positive side of that. That's definitely a positive from my point of view. But yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. I don't imagine that this is going to be the groundbreaking because I mean, love it or hate it, it's been tainted at this point. Like you cannot sit here and say that Anystyr is going to be the most popular thing ever because unless you have completely ignored, like if you're new to the industry and you don't know what it is, you will see the miniatures and go, oh, this looks awesome. I need it. I mean, it's dinosaurs in fantasy. Why would you not want it? Yeah. But for everyone else, it's like, yeah, but I know this was Mythic. Yeah, I know this was CMON. Like there's certain red flags that you start going, oh, I don't know if I really want to touch this. Yeah, and none of that is Don't Panic Games' fault.
Yeah, it's like I said, you know, at this point, this is a long-running joke, and unfortunately, the backers, like I said, they're just a punchline, and it's not funny. But like I said, looking at how they've got it up on GameFound, this is probably like the best option I've seen since the original Kickstarter launch with Mythic Games.
Yeah.
Before we realized, oh, Mythic can't do a damn thing right now because they have zero money and 7 games they have to produce.
I don't even so much mind. I don't know if this is a controversial thing to say or not. I don't even so much mind the fact that Mythic went out of business. I don't even so much mind that they ran out of money. The problem I have with Mythic should be the most obvious thing is the fact that they lied about it for 2.5 years. Like it was extremely obvious from the day you first mentioned it that there was a problem here. Well, actually, I did was like, no, I don't know if I agree with you on that, but you ended up being right, obviously, and I'm giving you credit. You were right.
Of course, but, I'm right.
Like there was red flags on that before they stopped doing crowdfunding campaigns. And the fact that they tried to pull the wool over everyone's eyes for, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, I feel like it was 2.5 years.
It was 2.5 years. They went...
Like, there was 12 months, maybe 18 months, where they were genuinely a successful company before everything went the way it did.
Just radio sounds. So let me throw this out to the probably the least Shiny Syndrome guy in the chat here, who has only done like 1 or 2 Kickstarter projects. Socks, you're out a couple $100 from the original campaign because of mismanagement and all this other stuff. Would you spend $40 at a chance to get this game that you've wanted? Or would you walk away at your loss right now?
Probably walk away.
Probably walk away. So, just do a little quick conversion. You know, they are currently asking about $40 for original backers on the core. That's versus 86 if this is your first time. Yeah. So it's about 50% of what new backers have to pay, but that's on top of what they've already spent. Which, I wish I had thought about this sooner and I would have pulled it up on Kickstarter.com.
Well, it all depends on how much that they've pledged as well.
Well, I'm just gonna do core.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find. Hey, there we go. Hell of the Last Saga. So that will allow me to find Mythic Games, which will allow me to find Anystyr, which will allow me to do. The basic pledge was $130.
It's not too bad.
So,
keeping in mind that they've probably paid postage as well.
Yeah. So
that they never got back.
Yep. So if you're original backer, that's another. We'll call it 40. If you're just doing bare minimum on top of, let's call it. So we're calling it $200 plus additional shipping. So let's call it $220.
Yeah.
I don't know how many original backers Don't Panic Games is going to get. That being said,
I suspect it's probably. I'm not going to say it's 50-50. I would guess it's probably going to be around 60-40, where it's 40% of them coming back for another bite. I don't see it being any better than that.
I would mark it down to like 30 or 25%. I don't see. I don't know. And like I said, I'm sitting here because Don't Panic. They bought Hell the Last Saga too. So yeah, I'm sitting here like, when is that going to launch? Is that going to be a crowdfund or is it going to be a pre-order? Like, is it going to be an actual ready finished product? And how much are they going to ask for me? Because I did the all-in minus the chess game, so it was about a 240, I think, pledge that I did. I can look here, I think. Unless I hit it. Oh, no, it's still here. Oh, I was way off. 283.
It's not that far off.
Well, I said 240.
Yeah. So you're only $40 off. That's not that bad.
That makes it sound that much worse, though. That is with shipping, though, too, so.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be
if
interesting to
that's
see
what
how
it's
this
called.
goes. I mean, like you said, it's a pre-order. It's not another crowd. If this was a crowdfunding campaign, I would have much stronger opinions on this. Like,
I would
but
have
I
to agree
don't.
with that. Yeah. Yeah, if they were crowdfunding this, I would be like, no, this is, who was it that bought the Rising Sun, Blood Rage, and the other one? They crowdfunded the Blood Rage sequel. All the other stuff was pre-order stuff, and yes, they swapped the packaging around a little bit because they don't believe in exclusives. Which, thank you.
Yep. And to be and with a game like that, where it's a game that already exists, and you're just the exclusives being a thing of the past. I mean, that game is old enough where it should be fine at that point.
Yeah.
Speaking of Rising Sun, I actually played that recently, and I really enjoyed
you
it.
Sent me a picture of that. So yeah, the disappointing thing for me is when I was reading through it is just like, oh, you have to have at least 3 people playing.
Yes.
Well, dang.
Yep.
But
all right.
That being said, though, I that's the kind of game where it's like you got, you want to play with as many friends as possible. So whatever.
Yeah.
News
Moving
for
on.
Bruce as we move on because we've beat that horse to death.
Yep. I did swap these around. We're going to discuss the Christmas starter bundles first, just because I thought this might be the most. This is the one that's going to be around for a little bit longer. So they're doing this again. Christmas starter bundles were happening last year as well. I love the fact that they're actually saying, like, just outright, this is exactly how much money you're saving. So, like, there's 6 different bundles that you can buy. And I would argue that it probably depends on because this is the sort of thing that, let's be realistic, if you're going to buy one of these bundles, it's probably because either you and a friend or you and a group of people want to get into the game, let's buy in all together. And then you just split whatever it is that you're buying, right? And honestly, these are all really good buying in points. The first one is the base starter game, both of the current rule books plus an extra mini. You get all of your energy counters. You get everything. Shows you the minis that comes in the box. The next one is the starter set with an extra 2 minis. Sorry, the first of that mini is in the box. It's not an extra one at all. And then we have another one where it's the starter set, those 2 extra minis, plus 2 expansions to expand the armies that's in the starter box. And then we have one that's kind of... They have 2 different starter sets. So it's kind of the same thing, but for different factions, essentially. And then we kind of have essentially the same thing as the previous number 2, but for the other starter set, where we're getting 2 bigger heroes to join what's in the starter set. And the last one is kind of like what number 3 was. It's the starter set plus a couple of boxes to expand both of the armies that were inside the starters. So, I mean, it's fairly ABC as far as bundles is concerned. The difference with something like this as opposed to the bundles that you get for Warhammer is that, like, you're getting stuff that's genuinely going to be useful and not just things that aesthetically look nice but are 50-50 chance whether you will ever use them in a game. Because that's not how Moonstone does their product purchases. It's just genuinely a cheaper way of buying it. I think it's great value. They also, on the 27th, wait, is it the 27th? Yes, 27th, will be opening the King's Coffers, which is their limited edition miniatures. This is what they do for their Black Friday. There's a few companies that do things like this. So as opposed to doing great, huge deals for 1 week only, they will go, well, you know what? We're going to do some limited edition miniatures that you can only buy at this time of the year. There is one of them that I want and have wanted to buy every year. I missed out last year. I'm really hoping I get it this year. Which is on the second line, the first one, Diana Enraged. It's the only one from the fairies that I don't own. Actually, no, that's not true anymore. But it's a it's an angry version of another miniature, basically. But she does have different rules and stuff as well, which is really cool. And it's not just a matter of you can only buy these at a certain time and then you can't buy it any other. There's also only a limited number of these that they do every year. So it's not just buy it now, we will cast them and send it to you. It's you will want to be one of the first trying to make this order. They have also stated that they will be releasing them in 2 separate waves. So because obviously time differences and stuff, sometimes it doesn't make it easy for the Americans. So they are doing a second release at a different time to make it easy for the people in the US that want to be able to order these as well. Neither of these times are really going to suit me. I'm probably still going to have to 50-50 chance, but I will definitely be giving it all I've got to try and get that Diana Mini. Most of these are things that were limited edition or Kickstarter exclusives at one point or another. They were all things that were definitely going to be, like they were advertised as going to be this later. The Siren on the Well, you may remember from a previous Kickstarter that we looked at. We definitely saw this once before. We definitely saw that Psycho Presents at the same time as well. I like the old festive kit that they do for the Goblin Blimp, which is the little blown up frog thing. I actually have Eric the Exalted, which is the guy that's riding the giant, I can't think, Rhino Beetle? Is it a Rhino Beetle?
Achilles Beetle.
I do like the Jackalope as well. That's just fun. But the one I want is Diana Enraged. I've been wanting that miniature for quite some time, and I always seem to miss out. So hopefully I don't miss out this year. So, yeah. Like I said, it's only going to be available for that short period. They say that it's going to be from Thursday the 27th until Monday the 1st. But keeping in mind numbers will be limited, so if, like me, there's a certain one that you want to buy, you're going to want to pull that trigger pretty quickly. For me, it's going to mean on Thursday night, I'm going to have to stay up past midnight to try and do this. So I'll have to reach out to Sean and see if he wants those cards or not. Because there's also been some rules that have been changed for certain characters, so I need to get the new cards for it. And that's it. Any favourites amongst that for anybody?
Not really.
I like the Siren.
Still just a fan of the angry jackalope, so because it's an angry jackalope.
Yeah.
They're vicious little boogers.
Yep. I quite like that. I like the Siren as well.
Sorry, I forgot. No, I forgot because I remember this when we talked about this last year, October. The trick-or-treating kid with the dog.
Yes. Yeah. That was only last month.
Still, was it only last month?
It was only last month, yeah.
Okay. I think that's still the best one because it's so wholesome. It's whimsical and wholesome. Like it's a kid trick-or-treating with his dog.
Yeah. I like that they're also using this as an opportunity to go, oh, by the way, we're adding this to the limited edition stuff. That feels appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk some terrain. And we're going to start with something that would be perfect for Entropy City. Or actually, but for that matter, Don't Look Back. Joe's Diner.
Or for that matter too, let's say, because role-playing games aren't just limited to D&D. Sometimes there's a little known role-playing game called Call of Cthulhu.
Yep. Oh, yeah, big time.
Where this would be perfect for that.
Yep. I'm just going to say this now. If you want to paint yours to have the checkerboard on the floor, you're going to want to paint that before you put it together.
Yep.
Because you are not achieving that with the furniture in place. This is probably a kit where I would probably argue you're going to want to build this in pieces. I would probably paint most of this separately. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the fact that the top comes off and there's so many different surfaces, like you put as little of it together as possible, paint it, like do the walls, like the exterior walls, do that, do the roof, like
Yep.
do all the booths separately, and then once you've got that all painted, then put that together. Because I mean, seeing that checkerboard floor, you gotta do that now. Like they've
of
shown
course you
it
do.
can be done. You gotta do that. But
Old
no
school
man in their
diner that
right
was
mind-
built in the 70s, like it has to be that.
No, this is the 50s.
Is it 50s? Yeah, actually, no,
If you
you're
look at
right.
that
It would
car,
be
that is-
50s, yeah.
If you look at that car, that is from the 50s.
See, to me, this is something that's always in callback diners, not because obviously I wasn't around in the 50s. So, like, to me, it's, I mean, I'm going to say it's Hungry Jack's, but to you guys, it would be Burger King because they try to pretend like it's the 60s or the 50s, sorry, all the time with their layouts. Or at least they do over here. Maybe they don't do it over there.
I would say if we have a fast food chain that tries to pretend it's more old school than it actually is, it would be Freddy's, and that's they try
Freddy's
to
or
have
Steak
that.
and Shake.
Yeah, they try to have that look and feel of like they're from the 50s,
Yeah.
even though Freddy's is like way younger than that. So
I just
I
really,
like
it's a really cool.
yeah, it's from that era. Like cars were works of art and gorgeous, and the buildings were to match, and it wasn't the fastest, cheapest, most efficient way to build something. Is everything costs the same because it's all done by hand, so people just made it look good.
Yeah, yeah. And it's kind of one of the, like, retro Americana is just, it's a thing, right? It's just something that, and it doesn't really matter where you're from. Retro Americana, because it's in so many movies. I mean, I suspect that most people looking at this image is going to go, oh my God, it's the diner from Back to the Future. Because that's just going to be where most people's, it's where most people's heads are going to go.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it's amazing how far back retro Americana goes. Because, like, that's 80s. And it's already retro at that point. I mean, it's from the 50s, hence why it was retro, but...
Yeah. Well, think about it. What was right before the 50s, the 40s? What was the 40s? World War II.
Yeah.
And the American, war complex was a huge roaring machine. So when the war ended, it had to do something. So we got lots of like things that just became synonymous with, the good life.
The other thing that is it is it Pulp Fiction where there's the assault in the diner? They pull the guns out.
So that's that was like oh God.
Or is it Natural Born Killers? Maybe I'm thinking of Natural Born Killers.
So in Pulp Fiction, there's a scene where Samuel Jackson and John Travolta's character, they're in a diner, but that's more like a village inn, like a 80s, 90s kind of
I'm misremembering
sit-down
it.
diner. But the scene where Uma Thurman she gets up and dances, that's like the 50s thing.
Okay. So that's what I'm thinking of then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also on this theme, the next two, like, realistically, if you're buying one, you're buying the other one. Like, you're not separating these two.
I have to agree.
We have a drive-in theater entrance, which is just awesome. And what do you need with an entrance for a drive-in theater? A drive-in theater.
That's great.
Do either of you have a drive-in theater that still runs anywhere near you? I suspect George is probably the only one that has a chance of this.
No, there's probably some in Alabama.
I actually do have one near me.
Let's see here. Holiday Drive-In Theater, Fort Collins, Colorado, which is about an hour drive.
Well, that's not too bad.
It says there's one in Cheyenne, actually.
Nothing's in Cheyenne.
But yeah,
Apart from the Stargate program. Oh no, that's Cheyenne Mountain. We've had this conversation before. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my state capital. That's with an Air Force base that Sox doesn't want to get stationed at right now.
No. No offense to the Whiteman.
I really like this. Like for a lot of people, I would probably argue people older, because by the time we were of age, drive-ins were already dead, right? Like it was just that they were gone. Like you could still get them occasionally, but they were pretty much gone.
So for the most part, like, you know, the drive-in theaters were there, but they were not operational. There was one here for the longest time, like the screen was still there, and then an artist like went and painted a mural on it, and that was fine. And that eventually got, you know, it was so old and dilapidated that it finally got torn down, and a building got put in its place and whatnot. But I think I would argue that I'd say early 2000s, mid early 2000s, like the drive-in kind of started to make a resurgence of this is more fun to sit in my car, you know, and do a family thing like that instead of going and sitting in the cramped seats. Now, to be said, the last I went to the movie theater, the seat was massive. I could fit in it. I fell asleep.
I've been to a drive-in theater once, and it is the one that's near me. But I've never been back again since because I actually don't remember. I think I went with a girlfriend at the time. And we went to see Cowboys and Aliens, which was great. It's a massively underrated film. It's got... I
was going to say, so you had to have gone with someone because you don't have a car.
That's the thing. That's why I haven't been back. I have a motorbike, and I suspect if I fought hard enough, I could probably get it to work. But also, I'm not going on my motorbike. What am I going to do? Take a chair and sit next to it?
Right? Like
it kind of defeats the purpose.
Sit on your iron horse like this and watch the movie?
I mean, I could do that. It just would be really dumb. I'd just go to a cinema. I would love to do a drive-in again, though. Like, just go with a bunch of mates and just go to see something. To me, I look at this and I think, I want to run, don't look back at a drive-in theater. Because it's just, like, it's just so appropriate.
Classic. Yeah. Have a bunch of parked cars as part of the terrain, too.
I really like, with the entrance, I've gone back to the entrance just for a second. I really like how they've done the worn down grass where the cars are going in and out all the time.
Yeah.
It just works really well.
Look at the backside of it. There's the projector hole on the second floor.
Is there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, there is too. I didn't even notice that. That's really well spotted.
Yeah. Yeah, there was so much, like the paint job they put on, they made it look like old dilapidated pine, which is what, you know, a building like that would be built out of. You got your double doors with like your classic 1950s like oval window and the handles in the middle. Like it's just so authentic.
See, to me, if you're going to build this, you're going to build this one of two ways. You're either going to build it to be pristine, like it's either something that's been restored, or or you're actually running your game in the 50s, or you're going to paint it like this to look like it's really old. And I would argue that this is probably how you should be doing it.
Oh my God, I just had the most, like, to make it the most immersive thing, right?
Yeah.
Find yourself one of those super tiny projectors to put in the second floor of that and project onto that cinema screen. And you have that prime, just pure white. Do they make a projector small enough?
Probably not.
There's I don't know. It's $200 and they're showing it fitting in the palm of a hand.
Oh, yeah. Depends on the hole that you need, though. I mean, you can always drill a bigger hole. I mean, at minimum, you're going to have to use some foam and stuff to get it in the exact perfect spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But could you imagine how cool and immersive that little game would be if you put, like, you know, some like black and white horror movie on the little mini projector on the screen while you're playing Don't Look Back?
Yeah. What movie are you putting in?
Creature from the Black Lagoon, or the original Bela Lugosi Dracula.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Now, here's the great part, right? The time limit to survive and win the game is the movie.
Yes. Yep, like you have to survive the entire movie. None of this, if you manage to achieve things beforehand, you have to survive the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's part of me that's like, it's got to be one of the Friday the 13th movies. But in my head, I'm like, no, it needs to be like the trashiest B-level horror you've ever seen. So, like, preferably something I've never watched.
And something that's black and white, too. Because most movies back then were black and white still.
Yeah. That's why I said Creature from the Black Lagoon or like the Bela Lugosi Dracula.
Yeah.
What you should be doing is theming it to whatever the mission is that you've selected.
Ooh.
So that you can make out like the film, the villain is actually coming to life or something. Or they're trying to pretend like it is because, you know, it's Scooby-Doo.
So, last thing on the list we should probably talk about, because, again, we've really drugged this out. It's the City Hall clock tower from Back to the Future.
I was going to say, speaking of Back to the Future, from the diner that we had, tomorrow we got the clock tower.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one that had that thought.
Which what would have made it better for this picture if it was a DeLorean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really nice piece of kit, honestly.
So I mean, look at this, and some like Sarissa Precision, they're like TT Combat. They're they just make good Blacksite Studios. That's another they just make good affordable terrain. Yeah, it's like this looks so good. Like, yes, the trim work around some of the windows, like it looks a little clunky, but it still looks really fine.
But
like
to be fair, like buildings, like having it looking a little clunky is kind of accurate sometimes too, especially for like a city hall where there's always something that's been missed.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say the only thing I could probably fault this terrain on is the steps aren't quite right. They're a little too flat.
Yeah,
they need to have a little more. But that's it. I mean, it's just terrain, like whatever. It looks super good. The only thing I could say is if you could, I would make sure the clock tower, the time reads of when the lightning struck the one in Back to the Future, and that's where it was stuck at.
And I want to say it's got to be a light grey building because it's definitely not red brick.
Yes. Yeah, no, it was a grey building.
The thing I like about this is realistically, most cities, unless they've had a redo in the 90s, still have an old building looking like this. It doesn't necessarily have to have. It doesn't have to be like the city hall, but I mean it should be, right? I mean, yes, I know that some places have had, like, I want to say Vancouver has the really fancy looking one that was used as a futuristic building in Star Trek. I could be thinking of the wrong city. No, it's Toronto. Sorry. Toronto Sound Hall is used in Star Trek as Fleet Academy or something.
Okay.
But like most big towns still have their old buildings because they're considered heritage at this point.
Yep, historical and yeah.
So you can put this in a modern city as much as I could put this in Entropy City very easily.
Like, I mean, consider the fact that you're basing Entropy City off of a rundown Detroit. That diner would be perfect because I guarantee. Well, when we were driving out to Ohio, we drove past a couple of diners, that were literally they looked like that. It's just like if we stop there, that's the best food we're going to have on the trip, because places like that are synonymous of the food is great, and if you eat it every day, you'll die a young age.
The other thing that a diner like that would be perfect for. Middle of the highway in a zombie apocalypse. Like, it's just run down.
Route
it hasn't
66.
And you make it look like the most dilapidated thing you've ever seen. All right, last one is a little bit of an offshoot, kind of very different. Kings of Kurth. I actually saw this advertised on Peachy's Tips yesterday. I was like, I really like what they're trying to do here. Now, first things first, this is a father and son that developed a game. And in their opinion, just happened to have But like the son kind of he wanted to play chess, but he wanted it to be a little bit more interesting, essentially. So I'm probably oversimplifying this. They were kind of tweaking it and trying to make it a little bit more interesting. They've developed it so you can have up to 4 players coming from each side of the board. It's 14 by 14. They've developed the miniatures so that they have a health dial at the bottom. If you scroll down far enough, you will eventually see that. Come on, it's here somewhere. But basically, there's a health dial in the bottom of them that you can turn and show how much health they still have left. This is it's a father and son thing. The son is, I believe, 9 years old. So when I say this is a father and son, this is literally father and son that's developed this. And in their opinion, they kind of accidentally stumbled across something that they kind of felt would work. And so they're putting it out there for the rest of the world. So, I mean, this is essentially I don't mean this disrespect.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm wrong. He was 8 years old. I'm so sorry. It's a variant on chess, right? So it's not the most complicated thing in the world, and maybe that's exactly what you want. But because this is essentially, and I don't mean this disrespectively, a nobody team, obviously that means that this comes with some inherent risks. This is what Kickstarter was designed for.
Absolutely.
Nobody's trying to achieve something. I really like the idea of a father and son having their own fun and making their own game and kind of opening that up to, other parents and their kids to experience.
I would even argue this is a gateway drug game right here.
Yep.
So I mean they've got different armies. You got the human, you've got the undead, you've got dwarf, you've got elf, right? And you've got so I'm looking at the halfling, right? They've got a halfling, right? So you've got the king, you've got a wizard, you've got a vanguard of 8, 2 tromplers, 2 clerics, 2 rangers. That is the number of chess pieces.
Yeah.
On a side. But the thing is obviously it looks like these are going to have skills and abilities like, a Sigmar army would. But guess what? It's not a gigantic $2,000 Sigmar army. It's this. This is quite literally a gateway drug. This is I'll just buy this and my friend will buy this and this will all have. And the next thing you know, they've got they've got every faction, and then they expand onto a different, kill team size game, or they go to the full blown, whatever. This is really cool.
On the side, if you go to King Draxor, the bonus one, and continue scrolling down, you will find the health dials I was trying to explain.
What faction is he in?
It's one of the options on the left-hand side. King Draxor bonus army.
Oh.
It's demons, basically. But then you scroll down and you see some red miniatures, and the miniatures are sitting on the health dials.
Okay, gotcha.
It's just a little 3D printed thing that makes it easier to keep track of things. You do actually see another example of it a little bit further down, too. This is just... They're not the first person to reinvent chess, right? This has been done so many times. I'd also want to say that it's probably not the first 4-way chess I've seen either. I can't think of the most recent one I've seen. But I don't mean this in a critical way. People redoing chess is not new. The thing I like about this is that they're trying to do something different with it. They're trying to make it their own. And they've stumbled across something that they felt was a lot of fun, and they've went, you know what? Let's try and make a go of this. I mean, it's a father and his 8-year-old son. How can you not love this? There's digital editions. There is a partially printed edition that they're going to be doing as well. You can go into this stupid amounts. Or you can just go in for essentially the 3D printed one and then print everything for yourself and paint it all up. And it's very affordable. Is it for everybody? No, because it's a chess game. But I would argue that There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah. I wish them the best. They've got 18 days left.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they still got, just under 30,000 to go. So,
Yeah.
hopefully they pick up some steam towards the end. But this looks like one of those ones where it's like you take the gamble, because it's not like, one of these, games where, it's $100 core box and you got like, how many add-on boxes.
Yeah.
It's, little army boxes, and guess what? You just use like a normal size, a 14 by 14 chessboard. Like, it's not. This is a really great idea, and I do hope they're successful with it.
Yeah. But I like the fact that they've expanded it so that it's not just taking down the king to win. I like the fact that they've actually themed the miniatures. Granted, again, it's not the first people that they've like. There's a Mario chess set out there, for goodness sakes. But like they've really tried to do this themselves. I really like what they've done. I really do. Hence why I was like, you know what? I'm going to show this off.
Cream, glue, prime, paint.
What have you done, Socks?
I have been preparing for, because with the government opening back up, we're at a madhouse to get ready for our students, because we didn't know if they were going to come or not. So we were in a madhouse to get everything set up, because they came and we started teaching on Monday. So, but I did prime my big guy in the uniform gray color,
Nice.
at least. But I'm only
Looks like
showing
this plastic Socks. That doesn't look like you primed it at all.
I know, right? But my hobby bench has been being used by my son, because his Enlightened battle group box came in, and he put together his big guy, and I'll put him next to it. He's a lot bigger than my mech is.
Yeah, like
that's go
that's
find his own hobby space. Like, this is mine. Go find your own, child.
No, he's using my tools and stuff like that, which is fine. So I'll show off for some of his other stuff. So that's one of his little walkers. They're absolutely Martian the world kind of feel.
hence the reason
and
why
got
they
some
were
of
the
those-
attractive one to me.
Yeah, and then he's got some little tiny mech ones. So he's been putting together his army. So that's why I haven't had a desk to really kind of use. So
Haven't had a desk
Yeah.
to use. Convenient.
You didn't go and buy anything with your massive back paycheck. Oh wait, no,
No, 'cause
you were getting paid.
I was getting paid.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
So
He
that's
was
what-
just preparing just in case he didn't. Because there was always the
Right.
risk that it didn't happen. We are referring to a conversation we all had off the air, just for the record.
Yeah. Well, I have not done anything, because I have still been playing General Contractor, and I came across a
Slack.
huge issue today that I'm not going to go into. But Casey did kind of bring this up to me, and I'm kind of liking this. So she has her own home office. I obviously have this office. But we're talking about swapping, just because since I'm always on the phone and the dogs are on the other side of this wall, and this is an entrance into the house right behind me, we're talking about swapping so that I can have a more private office and not have to deal with, people traipsing through while I'm on the phone and whatnot, or dogs barking while I'm on the phone. So it will be smaller, but I will go from having no closets to 2 closets. And then I also realized I will have a window that opens so I can have a actual airbrush booth that can vent outside, so I can use my stinky paints again.
Nice.
And then it occurred that the desk that I replaced with this desk that Casey was using, that's in my shop disassembled, is actually the right dimensions that I want for a desk. It's 48 inches wide, it's 30 inches deep. This one behind me is like just over 5 feet. And I want to do it differently, and that one actually has shelves instead of this like hutch that's useless. So, we're working and planning on it. The downside is I have to move the internet line, because I have to have
Yeah.
my stuff hardwired. I have a phone that I have to have plugged in to a router. I have to have the actual physical connection. So I'd have to reroute it from this end of the house all the way to the other end of the house. So that's fun.
So do that
So
before
that's
you
been
move
my hobby.
anything.
We kind of briefly talked about it since the Christmas holidays coming up, and I think that's Thursday. If I take Wednesday and Friday, that gives me a 5-day weekend. Get the cable guy scheduled to show up on Wednesday, move the internet to the back of the house, and then we have a 4-day weekend essentially to
Move everything.
move all the desks. Yeah.
Mm.
Because it's not just my stuff that moves. We have to move her stuff. So we have to empty one, empty the other into, and then empty it. So it's a massive juggling process. And unfortunately, because of what I did, I have this giant monitor that I have to safely set somewhere. I have, a whole bunch of stuff that I have to safely, move and whatnot beyond just my gaming stuff. So
What, you can't just drop kick it through the house?
I'd rather not drop kick a $1,200 monitor and a $300 microphone. And
Where's the
my computer
dedication,
and-
George?
and
How
my-
are we
and
supposed
my
to laugh at
company
your
laptop.
misfortunes if you don't make stupid decisions?
Well, I already do other things of ineptitude, like pushing the button too many times and on the intro music. So hopefully the sound removal actually grabs that and fixes that on the audio version without any issues. Bruce, you've been doing things.
I have
Tell
been
us
doing
about the
things. First things first. For the very first time, I can actually, hopefully, show this off. So people can actually see. Oh my god, we can actually see my miniatures. So, I have a new phone. And with my new phone, I can actually show things off. Because it has a cam sharing feature. I did have other ways of doing this previously, but I couldn't do it when I was recording because it caused issues. But here we are. I want that. So, I have been working on some miniatures for Dead Man's Hand. Some of you may know that I bought these miniatures 12 months ago. I literally bought them this time last year. In fact, I think it was October when I bought them. Very late October from memory, because I bought them just after PAX. Because I was like, ooh, very excited. I play tested this game and it's really cool. I really want to play. And then they sat in a box for 12 months and didn't get used. So last weekend, I made a list for Dead Man's Hand and for Legends of the Old West. So this is actually 2 lists that I have here. There's 2 miniatures that get exchanged in and out. Technically, they all have names. They're all going to get new names, though, because I've decided I don't want to name them. I had named pretty much most of them after Entropy City characters. The only one that's going to keep their name is this one. This lovely lady I am calling Fanning Jamison. So it's fanning, I guess, technically. When you have the hand, you have the pistol and you're going bang, 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 bang. So that's what I'm calling her that.
We can see her head.
True. So I'm calling her Fanning Jamison. And her name is most definitely Fanny because it was, actually a name that was used back at that point. And I've just dropped her on the ground. Well done.
And it's, yeah. I love the fact that you could do that, Bruce, because us, going up to holding a camera like this, it's
Right?
I mean, it works,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like when I first got my phone, and my new phone, and I could do that too. I was just like, oh, this is so much better because I can
She survived.
use an actual high quality camera that could do close ups a lot better than just my normal face cam here.
Mm-hmm.
Changing
Give it
back.
the time socks. He's been here the whole. No, I won't say it.
I am setting it. The reason I moved back to my face cam is because I actually have other things I want to show off that I finally finished.
Ooh.
These haven't been work in progress as long as the other ones, but these are from an unboxing that I did earlier in the year. I have finally done the miniatures for the Night Shift game. Night Shift is a game that I unboxed probably 4 or 5 months ago at this point. Basically, you're playing as a stripper in a nightclub and you're trying to make money. These are the miniatures for the game. Now, you don't have to paint them. Obviously, I wanted to. Painting lingerie is shockingly difficult. Especially when, like, to be fair, like, a lot of lingerie is supposed to be semi-see-through, depending on what it is. I mean, like, the miniskirt and that there, obviously, I've painted it not to be. Same with, like, the swimsuit. But the ones that are, like, supposed to be actual, like, lacy lingerie, you want to at least somewhat be see-through. Or at least hint that it might be a little bit see-through. I found these incredibly difficult to paint. Not anything wrong with the miniatures, just by their very nature, it's very much
required for the technique.
Yeah, because it's very much something that I wouldn't normally be do. It's not the sort of painting style that I normally have. The thing I really like about this game, like, obviously, yes, they're meant to be strippers, so yes, it's very suggestive, but none of this is in your face, over the top, gratuitous, sexually explicit. I'd go as far as to say that it's all very tasteful. The proportions of the women are all very different. Like, they're not all stick figures, Barbie figures. Like, they're all actually look like they would be real people. It's not all heavy-chested, it's not all flat-chested, it's all very different types of people. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a game that you want. I would argue that it's a game that everybody should play at least once. In fact, I said it as much in my video. The one I have to say I really want to rework, the yellow-clad one, because I don't like how the darker skin turned out. That speed paint is the Goddess Glow, and it kind of, I don't know, something about it came off very blotchy. So I think I want to just dry brush over that and redo it. The bases obviously are very rough as well, because flat surfaces on speed paint is just not what they're designed for. But I just wanted to get them done quickly, pretty much. But given the nature of how challenging I found this, I'm honestly very happy with how they turned out. Like, I wanted to try to give different skin tones. Some of them are more highlighted than others. But the blue hair, I'm really happy with how that turned out, actually. The blue one and the purple one, personally, I think are the ones that look the best. Painting, like I said, painting like lacy type material on the thin straps and stuff like that is... garter belts and stuff are so small. It's just very challenging. Especially with speed paints, because speed paints aren't designed for delicate detail like that.
Just hear you talking about having to paint garter belts on a mini is just...
That's what it is! All right. Changing back to my face.
Logan Grimnar doesn't have a garter belt. Maybe
he should. So there we go. Finally, an ability to actually show off miniatures, which is nice. We'll see how the rest of that goes. But no, I'm honestly very happy. Like, I can't say either of these is like my best work. It is all speed paint at the end of the day. 3 of those miniatures were painted previously. It's the last 2 that I didn't get around to. And that was because of the whole see-through thing that I was trying to still work through. Like I said, there's definitely some touch-ups I want to do here and there, but I'm quite happy with how it looks. I mean, they are just board game miniatures at the end of the day. I'm really happy with how the Wild West stuff turned out, though. Like, the list and the miniatures, like, everything is done in less than a week. I started that last Sunday, and the first day and a half, the first day was building the list. And then 2 days was priming and waiting for the prime to dry because the weather was kind of a bit crap, so it was a bit tacky. So it's 4 days of painting, which is like 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there. Like, given that it's all speed paint and done very quickly, I'm very happy with how it turned out. This gentleman is definitely going to be called something like the Gentleman. I should hold them by the base. Because, he looks like somebody that used to be very well off and has kind of fallen onto hard times. Because he's got his fancy light-coloured suit and a bowler hat, and yet somehow he's still working for the Outlaws. And he's not even the leader of the Outlaws, he's just a grunt.
He could have been a Pinkerton that's decided that crime is more lucrative than being a law enforcer.
True. Because, the Pinkertons were definitely always following the law and weren't definitely some of the most...
Yeah,
they definitely weren't some of the most corrupt people at all.
You know they still... that company's still in business, right?
Yes. It's okay, I live in a different country.
But I just... When I was in Phoenix, when I was at a drafting school, my roommate, he got a job working for Pinkerton Security.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like... So,
yeah,
like that was what I realized. Oh, they're still a business.
Talk nerdy to me.
So, I've changed the topic a couple of times, but ultimately because I decided to leave the other one till later. Hobby tools that you don't really talk about much or aren't discussed much. My initial thought for this is like hobby tools that you think are underrated. This was 100% inspired by I think it may have actually been Peachy again. And like he wasn't talking about like he talked about how much he didn't used to like the tool and is now kind of using it more. And he's talking about the G-Dub scraper, like the mold line remover, which I also really like. People hate on that so much because essentially it's a tool that you can use the back of your knife to use.
Yeah.
And most people do. But I actually prefer to use that tool. I prefer the original version of it. I don't like the one that they're currently selling. I actually prefer the old one.
No, I actually... So yeah, when I got to... it was here just recently, too. It was just like, like, that's something that, like, it wasn't necessarily a mold line, but it was like the bottom of the feet, when you're trimming them off the sprue, and if you do it just wrong, you wind up with that dimple and whatnot. So I always cut the little off, and I try to shave it off a little carefully. And then I was using the back of the knife blade, and I'm like, they flex a little bit, and I was just like, wait, GW actually maybe that's actually a good tool. And so, and right when I was looking at getting that, GW had literally switched from their classic, nippers and the mold line remover. So I actually delved into the depths of Amazon.com and I found one of the original ones. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's sturdy. It's got, that curved edge and it's got those sharp corners, which they're almost as good as an X-Acto for like removing tiny little chunks.
I was trying to dig out mine, but I don't know where I've put it at the moment. I've clearly put it somewhere safe. I have no idea where it is. I dug through my drawers. I thought it was in the top drawer, but it's not. So it's wandered off somewhere.
I know exactly where mine is. It's right in there.
Yeah.
In your tool cubby.
It'll only take him 3 hours to find it. The thing I really like about it is that curved edge, because it's not just one curve. It slowly gets sharper and sharper before it straightens back out again. And it means that you can kind of find the right angle pretty much regardless of whatever it is that you're scraping. Also, you can't use the back... Two things about the back of your knife. I mean, yes, it works on plastic. 100% it's fine. Can't do that with metal, though. Also, realistically, it's not the safest of tools to be using in that manner. No. I'm not being the nanny that's like, you shouldn't do this. Like, I know, like, most people do it and it's fine most of the time. But if you're someone that doesn't have... If you're someone that's younger and doesn't have the fine motor skills that, like, don't cut towards yourself and stuff, right? Is always the things that we're taught as kids. That as adults, we don't necessarily do all the time because, we've developed the skills to know how not to cut ourselves and then end up cutting ourselves anyway.
You also have more control when you're drawing it towards yourself like that than pushing away.
That's the thing, yeah.
When you go,
when you're going away from yourself like that, which are the things like, if you're moving towards yourself to scrape something down you have more control over it, like George said. But you don't want to be doing that with a knife. You also don't want to be doing that with a knife, especially if you're young, because you don't have the skill that's required to do that safely. And I don't want to sit here and be like, you shouldn't do this because you're too young. It's an unfortunate fact of life. You don't have that issue with, because you can't I mean, if you really wanted to try hard enough, I'm sure you could find a way to stab yourself with that tool, but it's not sharp. It's like 3 mil
what
thick.
I'm going to do here now, though, is I'm going to interrupt you and say, but go ahead and pull that knife towards your thumb if you have the right tool that is never talked about, because I had to 3D print this because I really can't find them. A TPU thumb guard.
Oh. So what you want is a thimble, right?
Pretty much.
Essentially, but it's TPU, so it's flexible.
Yep.
And it will catch the blade better instead of like just sliding off like a harder surface would.
Mm.
So, like I said, I had to 3D print this, which allowed me to size it up to fit my fat thumbs. But I think this is something that should be more commonplace in this hobby, because who here has cut themselves horrifically and have blood all over like someone was slaughtered?
Horrifically, no, but I've definitely cut myself.
Yes. I've cut myself too, but not in your fashion, George.
It's because we have something that he doesn't. The ability to think.
Well, no, I just have fat fingers. But before I got this, whenever I was done building a kit, I would have little micro cuts all over my thumb.
Yeah.
Would it bleed? But you'd always just touch it a little bit. If you've got that nice fresh blade, which you get that $120 kit, and you grab the new knife, so you got like the best blade, so you get the best cut. So when you're removing it, and it looks perfect, you get all those little micro cuts. So this right here, this is something that's not discussed enough. Something that's not widely available on the market is a soft thumb guard in the hobby. Yep. Yes, in sewing and crafting hobbies like that, it's very commonplace because, but Games Workshop doesn't sell. If this was a thing, Games Workshop would sell it. Like more widespread. All the tool companies would sell this if it was more widespread. Not done interrupting you, Bruce.
That's all right. The last thing on the scraping tool, and I kind of hinted at it, is that you can actually use it on metal miniatures as well. Now, yes, you can also use a file on metal miniatures, which is what would normally be recommended. But before you get to the fine detail, if you just want to scrape it down before you start getting into the nitty-gritty, it's lovely just to get that first couple of edges off before you pull out the file, and then... Because obviously, yes, you want to take to it with a file as well, but it's just one of those things. But yeah, I didn't want to just nag on about that. Like I said, there are some people that really don't like that tool purely because they see it as like, why would I spend $20 to $30 on a tool that shouldn't exist? Because you know what else you can use for that? You can use the back of a knife. You can also use... Where are my nail clippers? The file on your nail clippers literally does exactly the same thing. And is actually what I use quite frequently if I can't figure out what I've done with it. It's also like really good for like resin flashing. Just poking it through, scraping it around just to open up the flashing a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's all I want to... I'm done harping on about the scraping tool. I get why some people don't like it, but I think it's massively underappreciated.
I think another one that I really enjoy using, that it's not as widely available. Now, Artist Opus, they go on talking about them endlessly because they have the dry brush line, and that's a thing in dry brushing is a good texture palette.
Yep.
How often do you hear people talking about texture palettes? It's only usually very just associated with dry brushing, And even then, a lot of people are like, just run it over a paper towel till you know it's leaving just a little bit behind and jump on there. If you look at a texture palette, you know, there's different types of textures that you could be shooting for on your mini for your dry brushing. So, and texture palettes are great because what happens when you get it covered like this? You just hit it go with a primer and you keep using it. Like it's, you know,
it's something
one
I
of those
don't
things
have
where-
and something I should actually get. I will agree with you
Well,
on that.
Since you have a filament printer, Bruce, what you should do, because that's what I did, was I used leftover chunks of filament and just printed off of all the scrap filament I had.
I never got my filament printer running. It's
I
sitting
know.
in the
I know you
garage.
said-
I refused. I refuse to work on it any longer. I've given up 5 times on the thing. I will not work on it ever again. I will eventually buy something to replace it. It's never been run.
Fair, but that's what I did was yes, people you can buy them too, and they're kind of pricey for what they are. And I want to say the one I found, it was on Cults 3D, and I think the guy wanted like $5 for the files, which that's reasonable. That's a coffee. That's like what
It's fine.
it's something it's something he had to design. Like his time is worth money. I can spare $5 for that. And now the best part is I have files for texture palettes, and like I said, I load it up. I can paint it black and keep using it. I get it loaded up too much because I've put 30 coats of primer on it because I've been dry brushing it. I'll just print another one.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things that I don't think they're really talked about enough. They've become more of a thing.
Yes.
I don't think they've been talked about enough though. Because what's the other thing too? If you're like working on, say, edge highlighting, there's a lot of edges you could use there to practice on that aren't your mini.
Yeah, that's fair. What about yourself, Socks? Do you have any? Well, I mean, I definitely have those others to go into, but do you have any that come to mind? I saw that you were looking back at your paint desk trying to figure out if you could think of something.
Well, we kind of already discussed it. So I don't have the scraper, but I have a set of files where they're flat edge, round edge. I've got concave. I have a set of files of all different shapes and sizes that I use primarily.
Yep.
So
do you have like the little mini diamond ones? Or diamond edged or whatever they're called?
I'll go grab them. Hang on one second.
I bought like a cheap set that like they call them diamond in, but there's no diamond in them. They just want to call it that because it's a buzzword.
I need to get a better set. I got mine off of wish.com, and the fact that, they showed up is amazing. But the slightest bit of moisture even looks at them and they start to rust.
I hope you enjoy your information being sold.
So this one,
it's exactly the same set that I've got. Yeah.
Yep. So that was just a straight flat edge. Nope, sorry. One's flat, one's a little rounded. And I've got a little square one. And then
I love the fact that you still have the little rubber on it, because I've spent so long pulling it off and putting it back on that half of mine are cracked and the back edge of it has all come off.
Nope. Mine's all good. So
just proves that I
here's
use
another
mine
one I
and
thought of
Socks
too,
doesn't.
because RB Painter is selling this now.
Mm-hmm.
Leftover chunks of foam.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
one of
There
my
is part of me, like I know you was like, this is really dumb, but there's genuinely part of me that's tempted to buy them anyway. I know it's stupid.
Yeah,
but there's part of me that's tempted to go.
I get it, because you've got a handle to hold onto. You don't have to hold the chunk of foam right. It's it is a gimmick, but it's a trick that people have been using for how many years, and someone has just finally decided to
just monetize
it. Yeah. But that's one of my favorite things too, because what's one of the best ways to get like an uneven texture, for like terrain wear and stuff like that. Just a little piece of stipling film. What happens when it loads up with paint? You cut it off and you start over again. Like, it's, if you get anything with pluck foam, half these things, they come with a little foam backer too. Save those. That's, a stipling brush, that's just waiting to be used.
You know how I'm like the best person in hobby and I've definitely done everything in life? My name is Jason and I've never sponged a mini.
Same here.
I've never done it. I know that I
Really?
should have, but no, I never have. It's something that I've always been going to do, and I've just never got around to it. All of the weathering that I've done has always been done by brush, which is just dumb, but it's always something I was going to do, and I've never done it. It's one of the reasons why those paintbrushes are so tempting, because it would be an excuse to start forcing myself to do it. It's a really embarrassing thing to admit, but I've never done it.
I don't weather my stuff much as it is.
Yeah, I really heavily did that on my Space Wolves because I would pour the super glue on the cork. That is the base. The plastic base is there for it has to have a base with the magnet to hold it in place. Then the cork is the basing, and I put the super glue on and covered it in the snow flock, and then I glue the mini to that, and I put a little bit of glue and a little bit of flock. But what happens when you walk through the snow? Okay, you don't actually know the answer to this, Bruce. But socks, when you walk through the snow, what happens? It goes onto the top of your shoe. It goes up your shin a little bit. It works up your pants. So you take that little bit of a foam, dip in some white paint, and you just go, and it gives you the snow effect of them walking through the snow. So that's where I really got into it. I'm like, this is a really easy weathering, technique to do. So.
Yeah.
Yep. Socks, you live in Alabama. Talk to us about the snow.
No, we had snow last March.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Never mind then.
And
I don't want to hear about it.
They didn't know what to do.
Yeah, Texas froze a couple years ago because of all the snow and ice.
Yeah, and they don't know what to do.
And Socks is originally from Utah, where they actually do have snow.
I know, but I wanted to have a go.
There's a very fancy ski resort.
Multiple.
Well, if you look at how it's spelled, that's how you would think it'd be pronounced in the English language. Utah.
It's UTAH.
Or Utah. Utah. Yeah.
Oh, you're just pronouncing
whatever.
the H.
But,
okay. Yep.
Yeah.
I have another tool I want to discuss. And this is one that,
this one?
Actually, that's not a bad point. I know that you've said that in jest, but the finger, or actually, right here, who else ends up with all of their paint here? I blame Alan for this. I do all the time, every time I have painting, because it's where I will do the last just to get the fine tip on my brush.
Well, so I do, but I don't do this. Because I have my gloves for airbrushing, because I had a job where I had to be in front of people and wear a collared shirt. And so having paint smeared all over my hand, I didn't want to go through an acetone and scrub it. So I would always just use one of my nitrile gloves.
I just scrub the hell out of my skin until it comes off.
I cannot do that. So
no,
I will
I'm
save
not surprised.
My nitrile gloves, I will save those and I will use them for that. But for actually the tip of my brush, actually, what I love to do is just I take 8 layers of paper towel and I get it just slightly moist and I just roll and draw the brush through that. And it just gives me this nice, beautiful point.
Yep. Hang on a second. I'll be right back to you.
Well, seeing as he's gone. Finger-wise, if you've accidentally, if you are doing weathering, just trying to scatter it around, spread the paint around a little bit, or you're just trying to get something off. If you don't want it to come off cleanly and you want it to be a bit of a smudge, sometimes the tip of your finger can be just as useful. I mean, because people do it with a brush, right? But your finger's more predictable, and if you want it to actually spread more than the brush would spread it, the finger can. The trick is to kind of get it done. You don't want to go and leave fingerprints. You want to just kind of quickly move.
Well, let's be honest. These are the most useful tools we have. It's allowed us to evolve into what we are that have ruined the planet that we have.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Brush cleaner. No? Is that brush cleaner?
It's brush cleaner.
Yeah. That's fair. That is a tool.
Better.
Yep.
The one I was going to raise is a spatula. The one thing, so people use brushes for texture paints all the time, right? Which is the worst thing you can use a brush for because it ruins them. I mean, yes, you use your old brushes.
Well,
if you're putting stuff down on bases, mini spatulas they are incredible.
I was gonna say, unless your brushes, you specifically get a brush for that purpose, like a stippling brush, which is usually a very short, stiff bristle.
Yep.
Like that one's gonna hold up to that abuse a little bit better. Or again, like you said, your really old, crappy brush. I don't use so. That is a great idea because those are great for applying.
These
Bob
are cheap.
Ross used them to great effect. Yeah. I don't use those textures though. I usually use chunks of cork, glue it up.
This is what I use for my
maybe a
Entropy
little
City bases to put the asphalt down.
Oh yeah,
Because I'm using a texture paint for that, yeah, largely.
So,
you could
yeah.
easily use. There's no reason why you couldn't use broken up cork though.
Yeah.
But cutting that to a curve is a pain in the ass.
Well, so cork is one of those things where if you got a nice sharp knife, you can cut it. I actually have in my cart some metal punches that are the exact diameter of a base, so I can just punch out a disc of cork that matches the size of the base. But what I love about it is you can cut it, and it's just got it does have a nice smooth texture, and you can paint over it real easy. Or if you break and tear the edges, you've got a nice rough edge that gives you, a broken dirt feel.
Yep.
So.
And the last one I want to point out.
The toothbrush. Yes.
If you don't have a toothbrush in your painting kit, I don't know where you've been all your life. The most obvious thing, you should have this for cleaning your resin miniatures anyway. But also, if you want some blood splatter effect, it is the most effective way of doing it to make it look realistically. Flicking the paint on to the miniature. I would probably argue the stiffer the better. This is like a medium stiff brush, and it's probably a little bit too soft at times. I kind of wish that I could get a hard one.
I actually got specific like hard bristle brushes.
Yeah.
So that I can scrub a little harder and they're a little harder to flick. The other, and I will agree with that. That is a really good technique. I will say though, I did find a better one, and I shared it in our group chat with Ben and Michelle. But someone took a large brush, what you would use to speed paint with speed paint.
Mm-hmm.
But then they held their airbrush up to it, and they
yes,
open up the valve and it sprayed through, and it's just like you had like the actual like hard line of it coming off the brush and then spreading out in a splatter. Like
it actually looks like Whereas this will leave little droplets that you can build up, but that will go like an actual blood splatter. It depends on what you wanted to get out of it.
Well, if you want someone with a GSW and you want it to look like an exit wound from their back spraying everywhere,
then you use the one you're talking about, yeah.
But yeah, no, I do have a toothbrush, but it's not a toothbrush. It was actually specifically, it's a hard bristle brush. So
yeah. Also, yes, don't use your toothbrush. Buy one specifically for this purpose.
I was gonna say I don't actually scrub my resin miniatures. I actually have an actual ultrasonic cleaner that I, put some slightly warmer water in with a good detergent and ultrasonic that, and then just rinse it off in water and call it good.
You know what?
One more.
That's actually I've never considered that. I own an ultrasonic cleaner. Why am I not doing that? I should do that next time.
George has one.
Yeah, I've got one too.
Shaker, yeah, those are
In fact, I think I have the same one.
A list now of like, I think we're just now listing off like all of our favorite hobby stuff that we use.
I think so.
I would argue that like, if anything, like the vortex mixers are probably talked about too much. Like there's certainly not everybody has them. I think people tend to have one of two opinions on them. Either they've tried them on or they love them, or they've been like, yeah, it's just somebody. It's just people trying to sell me something. It's just hype. Honestly, they are good. They will not save every paint that you have, though. I know people like to pretend like they are God's gift to restoring your paints. That isn't true. But they will save a lot of things. They will also save you a lot of energy.
Actually, they're not talked about. A lot of companies are now starting to include them in their paints, but shaker balls. I would say those are probably one of the more things that's not talked about enough, because all my scale 75 stuff I've got doesn't have shaker balls. Some of the Vallejo stuff I've got does come with shaker, not Vallejo, Army Painter.
Army Painter's new stuff all does.
All Army, everything.
Yeah.
Every Painter has, even their pens.
Everything speed paint on. Well, sorry, no. Everything airbrush onwards does.
Yeah.
Because they started doing it with the airbrush line before they did it with the speed paint and the Fanatics. But the old second edition paints, the war paints, didn't have them.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if you are buying them to add them to your paints, you need to be careful, because there's a lot of them online that advertise themselves as stainless steel and are falsely advertised. This is one of the things where you don't want to buy cheap ones. I would, to the point where I would advise not to even touch Wish, Temu, AliExpress, etc. Because as much as, sure, they're cheap, I'll just buy new ones. Yes, but you find out by destroying your paints at the same time. And they will destroy your paints.
So I will also throw this out there too. Don't buy ones that are too small either.
No, you want them to be a good, about 5 or 6 mil. Like a decent, what, eighth of an inch, 16th?
They're too small. No, you want them like closer to an eighth or bigger. You don't want
eighth or bigger
smaller than that, because they'll settle down into the nozzle and block the nozzle. Well, Valhalla Hobby is the sponsor of this episode of Getting Tabled. They're located in Verona, Wisconsin. They have so much to choose from. I was lucky, Bruce. You know the Weirdscape buildings.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some of those.
Yeah, they're great too.
They look so good. They're that creepy, that Malifaux Victorian horror aesthetic, and I'm like, ooh, I could put those in my cart too with my pre-order of English Ivan and his the Explorer's book for Malifaux. And the prices are great. The shipping is reasonable, and they care about the stuff when they ship it out. Like I actually said when I ordered my Malifaux book, like it's a little paperback, right? You could stick that in a bubble mailer, call it good. No, they wrapped it in foam, then they wrapped it in like an actual book mailer, and sent that. Like it would have had to been mangled by the post office for it to show up damaged. Again, it's a great store. They've got lots of stuff. That's how we got Socks his Dystopian Wars. So I think Bruce is probably the only one of us that actually hasn't gotten anything from them because, overseas shipping. So
I would love to buy stuff through them, but there's just no point for me because it's just going to cost them and me more money than it's worth doing. So yeah.
And they get stuff in. So they had some stuff on back order, Armor Clash wise. They told me early December was when they were expecting their shipment.
Nice.
I just got notification that it was shipped yesterday. The stuff that was on back order. So
nice.
They try and get the stuff that's on back order back into stock so they can get it out to you as soon as you can.
And like I said, their prices are great. I would say just about everything I've looked at, they are below MSRP by a couple dollars at least on everything. So, they're trying to make it as affordable for you in the hobby as possible. Use code TABLE to get 5% off an order over $100. And it lets them know that where you came from to order stuff. So, Bruce, tell them where they can find us.
It's my turn. If you would like to support us, and thank you to those that already do, you can support us through patreon.com/gettingtabled. $2 a month gives you early access to all of the video content that we do. It also gives you access to a couple of exclusive channels on the Discord. At this stage, that is obviously the Patreon chat or the tabled chat. Tablers chat. But at this stage, it's also giving you access to the Entropy City channel as well. Thank you again to those that do support us. We've got a lovely small community that do support us, and we really appreciate you. Please consider it. We would very much appreciate you as well. If there's any of $2 a month, yep. If there's any of the stories on today's episode that you would like to check out, you can find all of the links at gettingtabled.com. Click on the podcast link, and it will link you to all of the stories that we have discussed. You can follow us on facebook.com/gettingtabled. That is the most active social media that we have. If you've got anything that you would like to discuss with us or ask us to cover or ask our opinion on something or correct us or ask us to talk about a product, gettingtabled@gmail.com is how you can reach out to the team. If you like what you're hearing and maybe you would like to look at our ugly mugs as we discuss things, or check out some of the unboxings that we have, you can do all of that at youtube.com/gettingtabled. X, Twitter, Instagram, Blusky, Threads is all at Getting Tabled. There's also a Reddit that now I have a new phone I can actually start being active on again, which is r/gettingtabled. If you're not sick to death of me, you can also find me at ToyReel, which is youtube.com/ToyReel. It's a group of Australian people from both Melbourne and Sydney discussing toys. There should be a live stream on Thursday, hopefully. If you want to hear more about Entropy City, which is the miniature game that I'm in the middle of developing, you can find some information on that at entropycitygame.com. Thank you very much, Socks.
Yep, it's been fun.
I may consider upgrading you to civilian again.
Oh, thanks.
That's better. That's a much better response.
You can't be trained, folks.
Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.
Paint something you didn't expect.
I'll make sure to delete this conversation to you, Socks.
Thanks. Appreciate it.